All right, everybody, thank you for taking the opportunity. I'm here with Jim Palukis, and he's the CEO of Boosh Foods. And more specifically, we want to talk about the growing plant-based foods industry, currently sitting at about $5 billion market, growing to approximately 85 over the course of the next 4 to 5 years. So, Jim, just want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Matt, thanks for having me.
I guess just give us a quick update about yourself and a little bit about the company, and we'll just take it from there.
Great. Yeah, let's talk about Boosh. Boosh Food, it's the gateway to plant-based, non-GMO, gluten-free, heat and eat comfort food. So the founder of the company, Connie Marples, who's still working 10, 12, 14 hours a day with Boosh, created this for the busy family. In order to go ahead once the kids come home from school or theater or sports, and the husband and wife come home, to have something nutritional to heat and eat. And that's the origin of Boosh Food. And she literally created the recipes herself back in 2018. 6 frozen meals. Took that around in her Boosh mobile, sold it throughout Vancouver, and it's grown to over 400. We're in 400 stores now. So it's a Cinderella story. It's fantastic.
Yeah, man, it's really cool. And it actually won some awards last year as well for some of the products that she's been able to put out. So it's really cool to see kind of it start from relatively small to starting to grow. And speaking of growing, I mean, you guys have signed a big agreement with Thrive that could give you access to up to 40,000 stores in the United States. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We want to create as many revenue streams as possible. So one, organic growth. Went from 0 to 400 stores in relatively short order, meaning in 24 months or less. Of the 400 stores, over 2/3 of those came online in the last 6 months. So momentum is on our side. Revenue stream number 2, acquisitions. We've already done 2 acquisitions. The revenue stream number 3, expanding into the United States. We were introduced to Thrive through our Canadian food broker, did our research, found out that they have a great reputation. They touch all 4 corners of the US. And based on our fundamentals and making sure we do things properly, they can go ahead and maximize our exposure into the US, almost to an unlimited number. So there's revenue number 3, and then revenue number 4, and we can talk about this, is the e-commerce that we just signed as well. But we're super excited about getting to the US. I live in the US. And I honestly, it took me 6 months even to try the food. I was only able to get up to Canada last month, or earlier this month. No, excuse me, at the end of August, I was able to get to Canada for the first time. And so when I got there, I had all the different foods on a tray, and it was fantastic trying them all. Fortunately, now I'll be able to get our foods through Thrive.
That's cool. And I did see the e-commerce notification come out with specifically the company in Canada being able to do the home delivery, but it's also going to ship to via e-commerce strategic locations inside the United States. Can you talk a little bit more about that part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the company you just referenced is shopvegi.com. Shop Vegi also has alliances in the US for e-commerce home delivery. And we actually just sent our first batch of food over to them for that very purpose. So that's going to ramp up. I anticipate that ramping up nicely throughout the 4th quarter of 2021, and obviously expanding and hopefully getting to exponential growth as we go into 2022 through our home delivery of Boosh Foods. What is Boosh Foods? 6 frozen and 3 refrigerated. We just introduced July. Mushroom gravy, sloppy Joe chili, and we also just got into Whole Foods Market, where we're super proud of throughout Canada. So we got into their 14 stores. So getting back to home delivery, consumers will be able to go ahead and get one of our either 6 frozen meals or 3 refrigerated meals through home delivery, or if in the United States, through Thrive, going to the grocery stores where you can pick it up.
That's cool. Yeah, and I was relatively surprised. I was looking at the stock ticker on the US OTC markets that you guys are only trading at a 15 million market cap right now, comparatively to some of your competitors. I mean, it just seems rather light. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about, revenue numbers that you guys are generating versus kind of like the price to sales that you guys are generating versus some of your competitors, and where you kind of stand in that respect.
I want to hold off on revenue. It's
Okay.
certainly for another couple of months. We're first and foremost, we had to make sure we built the fundamentals of the company, to build the
Okay.
sales team, to build the infrastructure. Post-COVID, a lot of the sales previous to COVID was through ambassadors. We had to go ahead and stop that, obviously, at the grocery stores. So
Right.
we're just ramping up right now. But I think as it relates to us and comparing us to our peers in the marketplace, there's 6 elements, right? I believe that an investor should make sure that a company has these 6 elements, or as close as possible to these 6 elements as you could. Number 1, management. Connie, 20 plus years in the food industry. In fact, in early 2000s, she had a restaurant which was on the short list of the Condé Nast's best restaurant of the world. I mean, that's like the Michelin. I mean, that's phenomenal. So she knows the food industry. She knows how to operate. She knows employees. You want to make sure you're in an industry that's going to grow. The food industry, you referenced it earlier in regards to the huge potential growth going into the multi-billions. I'll give you one better. Bloomberg came out, stated that the valuation of the plant-based industry is going to be $1.4 trillion by 2050. It's not too far away from now. So we're seeing a huge transformation from the animal protein to the plant-based protein. Boosh wants to be a disruptive driver in that transformation. Number 3, you have to look at what differentiates you from everybody else. We're not going to come out with another hamburger, a plant-based hamburger. It's already done. There's some great companies and Beyond Meat, which we have an alliance with, that does a phenomenal job. We like to come out with differentiating products on the marketplace, things that will complement that burger on your plate. The plant-based cheeses, obviously our own 6 frozen entrees. The mushroom gravy is phenomenal to pour over even the plant-based Beyond Meat burger. So we like to differentiate ourselves, and that's how we believe we're going to be able to grow in the industry. Then you look at the capital structure, and we can talk about that in just a minute, and then the ability to use our shares as currency to acquire additional companies. So these are the critical elements. We check all of those boxes. Very few of our competitors check all of those boxes. We do. I think we are primed for significant growth. And I think your investors, if they do their due diligence, will see the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I was just from the Canadian side, you guys went public and it was May, right? You had over 1,100 retail investors join you guys in on that. And since that point, I mean, you've seen what happened when you guys joined the OTC markets back in August timeframe, relatively moving extremely fast with respect to some of the partnerships you guys are coming out with. You mentioned Beyond Meat, you mentioned Thrive, you mentioned the e-commerce transaction that you guys did as well. What's next, man? I mean, it seems like you guys are just continuing to wheel and deal. Can you give us a little bit of an update about that, or would you rather talk about the capital side of things?
No, I'm happy to talk about as much as I possibly can. Talk about the future. I love acquisitions. We've done several acquisitions, acquired a wonderful plant-based product early on. We just recently acquired a pate company that does, and the pate is made from root vegetables. It tastes fantastic. We love acquisitions. That's part of the revenue streams that we will continue and grow. It has to be quality management. The product itself will not carry an acquisition in my mind. The management team has to blend with us and feel comfortable with us, and vice versa. Then secondarily, we will look at the product and move forward at that. But it has to be a differentiating product. We're not, again, as I mentioned earlier, this is critical that we're not just what is going to become a commodity, being like everybody else, because we'll lose that game. We have to make sure we win. How are we going to win? We have to differentiate ourselves in the marketplace. So going forward, I like acquisitions. I can't comment on ones we will be doing going forward, but I do like acquisitions. And the expansion growth, we've created a solid infrastructure through Connie, Ali Samai. He's joined us as far as almost a full-time consultant, but he has over 25 years in the natural food industry in Canada. His Rolodex is second to none. He has created successful stories in the past with a variety of small companies that were in private stage and going through the public stage and being very, very successful. So our infrastructure is very solid. So I see the future being extremely bright for Boosh Foods as we grow.
No, that's a really good insight. I mean, so talking more specifically about some of the thought processes going forward, is it going to be more continuing acquisitions with complementary management like you talked about, or is it going to be further products, or a combination of both? I mean, you're not really trying to limit yourself in either way.
Not limiting ourselves. 15,000 grocery stores in Canada. We're only in 400. That's a nice runway, right?
Yeah, great runway.
42,000 grocery stores in the United States. We haven't even touched that yet. So we have a huge opportunity as long as we won't trip going out the front door. What I mean is I have to make sure our fundamentals are solid within the company. Our infrastructure is solid and able to support the growth that we want to go through. So the first 6 months of working with Connie and making sure everything is done properly was putting these various pieces together, providing the financing necessary to create these different divisions within Boosh for that exponential growth as we
Right.
move forward into the United States, as we move forward with e-commerce, and as we become an attractive opportunity for other companies looking at us, wanting to come into our portfolio. So these are the elements that are critical. It isn't just a quick press release or a nice little story. It's the fact that we've built this on fundamentals, and we're going to grow this company based on fundamentals and the uniqueness of our product and our alliance with Beyond Meat. Arguably, there's no one bigger in the plant-based industry in the world than Beyond Meat. We have a wonderful relationship with them. In fact, their representative that I'm good friends with is going to come into our 8,500 square foot headquarters in Surrey in about 2 weeks, and we have a studio, we have a kitchen studio, and we're going to be filming a variety of different companies, a variety of different plant food companies that want to come in. Brian is going to come in. We're going to be filming him with Connie, creating various meals. So it's going to be wonderful content for everyone to see how we operate in the inner circle of Boosh Food. But I see nothing but blue sky as we move forward.
Yeah. So speaking about Beyond Meat, I know that you guys have the 2 products with them in collaboration with them at the moment. Do you think that there's going to be further collaborations and products coming
Absolutely.
out of that? Yeah,
absolutely. I would not
and
bet against
when
that.
do you think that would kind of come forward? I mean, obviously you can't put a timeline on things, but
I'd like to see it certainly before Santa comes down the chimney, but I don't know. It's in the works. I can simply say it's in the works, and we're working as expeditiously as possible to get that done. We love working with Beyond Meat. We love having it in our products. Our products taste fantastic with their crumble in it, and so it's a wonderful alliance that we have, and we're very proud of it.
Well, I'd say you guys seem like a very promising organization. I think you guys have a lot of things going in the right direction with respect to culture. It seems like you have a great product, and it's not like, the way I look at it, you're looking to work with people, not work against them and try to compete against. You're literally just trying to provide the opportunity for folks to, whether they're flexitarians or whether they're just trying to plant-based diet as an experiment. It really seems like you guys are trying to leverage the growth space as a whole, and really just trying to see where you guys fit in. But you guys seem like you know exactly what you're doing. You have a great founder. You have a great management team, it seems like. Really looking forward to seeing you guys progress going forward. Is there any final things you want to mention for people to look for Boosh Foods going forward?
Yeah, 2 things, Matt. Number 1, you're absolutely right. It's not a sum-zero game. As you know, sum-zero means an equal party loses as an equal party wins. We're not sum-zero. Everyone can win in this industry, and it's healthy, and it's good for the planet, and it's good for the consumers who are eating it. So and I don't want to say it's righteous, but it's borderline righteous. It's a wonderful industry to be in. Just as importantly, I want to conclude with our capitalization table. We are second to none, in my opinion, compared to any of our peers. We are as non-dilutive as possible. And for your for your viewers and listeners to understand, that means we're trying to protect their interests as much as possible. As an example, my compensation is in 50-cent warrants. I have to pay. I work full time. I work 60 to 80 hours a week for Boosh. I still have to pay to get my warrants in order to move forward. I'm rowing in the same boat as all of the shareholders, which is a critical element for a CEO to say as he's growing his company. Now, let's talk about the cap structure real quick. It's critical. We went public with just north of 16 million shares. Most companies going public have 50 to 100 million shares, very dilutive. We have less than 16 million shares The principals, Connie and her husband, own 28%, and they're still working as many hours a week as I am on BOOSH. So they're doing a lot of the heavy lifting. They own 28%, which for your listeners is a very important element, that the founders of the company and are developing this and still wanting to push forward and grow the company. Next, our market cap, 16 million. Call it less than 20 million on any given day. Our nearest peers is 80 million. That's a huge runway. And there's not a lot of differentiating points between us and them. So I think that's a wonderful opportunity for a shareholder to want to get involved in with the company. And lastly, what you just mentioned. We raised just shy of $3 million on our IPO. We had verbal orders over 10 million, but we only raised 3 million because we are disciplined. It was a 50% IPO. We raised just under $3 million with 1,100 shareholders. I don't think there was a shareholder that wanted to put in less than $20,000, but everyone got very small allocations because we love a large shareholder base. We want to grow the company and have a huge shareholder base, 5, 8, 10,000 shareholders in a couple of years. That is our goal as we continue and grow Boosh Food. Again, as a potential investor looking at a variety of different companies, everything we just talked about, the 6 elements I referenced earlier, our capitalization structure, which is as non-dilutive as possible. It's contrarian in the marketplace, but it's non-dilutive. It's very conservative. Management is on the same side of the shareholder in order to grow the company. I think it's a very appealing situation for someone to want to consider investing in Boosh right now.
No, I really appreciate that. It's a really good opportunity to wrap up there. I think you hit all the key notes on there. So thank you so much, JP, and looking forward to hearing from you and Boosh Foods in the future.
Thank you, Matt. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.